J. Panda, National Vice President of the BJP, with us on the broadcast. Mr. Panda, very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let me begin by asking you about a major controversy that has erupted today, and several leaders of the BJP have now started speaking about it on social media as well, on the RTI regarding the Katchatheevu Islands that has now come out. What exactly is the information that the BJP now wants the people to ensure that the people of India understand what really happened under the Congress government?
Look, it's just yet another terrible example of those who ruled India for so many decades, compromised our basic integrity. We saw how our Northeast was abandoned in the face of Chinese aggression. We have seen how there were attempts to abandon our frontiers on, for example, Siachen. We have seen how there was an attempt to suppress any kind of response from us after the horrible terrorist attacks of 26/11 in Mumbai. And this example that you are citing is yet another example where India's interest was never kept at the top of the priorities. For example, we gave up a Permanent Security Council seat in the United Nations. And this is yet one more example of how our leaders for 7 decades completely compromised our national security and compromised our national interest.
All right. At the same time, Mr. Panda, then what really is the plan of action of the Bharatiya Janata Party as far as some of these matters of the past are concerned? You're talking about a seat at the UNSC, you're talking about now some of the islands and some territory that the BJP says was given away carelessly by the Congress under Congress rule. What really then is the plan of action of the BJP?
When you talk about the plan of action, you must also examine the actions that have already been taken and the track record of the past decade. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, there has been a complete transformation of India. Nobody today contests that in the eyes of the world and in the eyes of 1.4 billion Indians, we are seeing a renaissance that has been missing for 1,000 years. Today, we have turned around from a country which used to depend on other nations during every crisis to a country where every other nation looks for India's help and Modi ji's leadership during any crisis, whether it is during COVID, whether it is financial assistance after that, whether it is rescuing people in war-torn areas, whether it is dealing with all the major challenges across the world. You see the development in India. Now it has been the fastest growing large economy for several years in a row. It's turned around the economy that was inherited from the earlier UPA government. 25 crore Indians have been brought above the poverty line, and as per the multilateral agencies' confirmation, now extreme poverty in India has become less than 1%. This is a huge transformation, and the plan of action, as you wanted to know, is to redouble the speed of this. Prime Minister Modi has given a guarantee that he will take, India has already come to the 5th largest economy spot from a long lingering 11th place. Now he's going to take it to the 3rd number in the world, and the roadmap that Modi ji's leadership has established is to see a developed Bharat by 2047, and for that you will see a redoubling of the speed at which big decisions are taken in the 3rd term.
Mr. Panda, at the same time, a lot of opposition voices at this point in time are saying that some of these matters like the Katchatheevu Island are now being raised by the BJP because they're trying to find something to connect with southern India. How does the BJP respond to that?
See, first of all, there is not really an opposition as you call it. There is a disparate element of several different dynastic parties across the country whose main interest is how to protect their family legacy and their fiefdoms. They are not interested in cleaning up politics. They are not interested in India's development or even their own state's development. They are not interested in pulling people out of poverty. Their interest, you've seen the corruption that these parties have indulged in whenever they've been in government, and you've seen the massive nepotism that they indulge in even to this date, and this is their desperate attempt to call themselves an opposition. They're not an opposition. But the thing is, you'll see that they're never able to respond to the merits of these developments and these issues and these severe charges against them. The only thing they can come up with is timing. Why now? You mentioned that their response now is the timing and to do with southern India. You know, they say the same thing when Chief Minister gets arrested in Delhi. Why the timing now? You know, the man has been avoiding summons for many, many months, long before elections were scheduled. And then you create the timing after so much delay, and then you complain about the timing. Within the opposition itself, they accuse each other of corruption. But when court process and prosecutions happen, then they start singing a different tune. So as far, now they are trying to create this whole thing about southern India, northern India. You are going to see a massive growth in BJP seats in many southern states this time, because there is a common thread that binds all of India together. There is a Bharatiyata that transcends region, that transcends language, that transcends food habits, clothing, and you're seeing the massive, for example, you saw the massive response of devotees from South India, from across different states, who came in their lakhs to take darshan at the new Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. So all that the opposition can talk is about timing and try to create schisms within society. It's not working.
Mr. Panda, at the same time, talking about timing, another matter that has been raised by the opposition is some of these income tax notices. The Congress party says that the BJP was initially using the Enforcement Directorate. It's now using the Income Tax Department as well. And this is an attempt to financially cripple the opposition, to disable them from actually fighting a free and fair election. How does the BJP respond?
The reality is that the Congress and its so-called allies are long used to crippling India's economy and making merry for themselves all along. Now, they have been breaking the law. They have not been paying the due income taxes for many decades. Now, they have got used to the idea that they can do this with impunity. They have got used to the idea that they can flout the law and that it should not apply to them. The leaders of the Congress are implicated in this very serious fraud case, and they are out on bail, and they then start preaching from soapboxes to others. Look, the fact is, it's not that an income tax notice or an ED investigation has suddenly happened out of the blue. These are cases, these are charges which have been investigated for many years. Notices have been given before, investigations have been continuing. There have been regular developments in this case, and these people are trying to spin a narrative that because elections are near, they should somehow be exempt from laws. That's not how the system works. That's how they were making the system work, that laws did not apply, especially during elections and also otherwise. Now the laws are applying during all times, and just because there are elections, suddenly all these investigations which have been going on should not stop. I mean, why should they? Why are they exempted from the laws that every average Indian is subjected to? So, and you must keep in mind, there is one major difference between the kind of allegations that they used to bring about during their time in government. They used to harass leaders who were in the opposition then, who are today our Prime Minister and Home Minister, who were exonerated by every court, by lower court, by high court, by Supreme Court. Whereas the charges that Congress and others are facing now, they are not getting exonerated. They are not getting bail. They are, in fact, the number of convictions against political leaders involved in massive corruption and crime has increased dramatically. That is what your viewers should see for themselves.
But Mr. Panda, on what basis are we saying that the conviction rate has in fact increased? Who exactly in the past 10 years under the BJP government, ever since the BJP has come to power, as far as some of the major cases are concerned, we had 2G there were no convictions. Besides a Lalu Prasad Yadav or a Jayalalitha type of case, who exactly, why are the rates of political convictions or convictions overall in scams so low?
You are looking at the top leadership of many of these implicated parties. They are complicated cases. They take a little longer time. If you lower your scan and look at the many people who have been supporting them in these scams, there have been many dozens of convictions in the last 10 years, whereas there were almost none before that in cases involving large frauds and criminal activities by politicians. You are also seeing the example where politicians are not able to get bail from jails. Many of them, for example, deputy chief ministers and others, have been in jail for a year and a half. And you know, this is not something that the government does or the party does. In a court, there has to be prima facie evidence for the accused not to be given bail. That itself is a great indicator that there is enough and substantial prima facie evidence, as a result of which many political leaders are not getting bail and are spending long times in jail. And convictions are happening, as I said, at lower and middle levels, and at senior levels also, you're going to see convictions happen.
Okay, at the same time, Mr. Panda, coming back a little bit to the election strategy of the BJP, as far as the 400 par vow is now concerned, if the BJP were to gain on all the seats that it did last time around, where exactly are you hoping to now bring in the numbers to go to that number of crossing 400?
All you have to do is look across the map. So let me start with my home state. We had a big surge last time. We went from 1 seat to 8 seats, and we are going to double that or more this time. You saw a big surge in West Bengal last time. You're going to see a substantial surge even from that high number in West Bengal. I have been in charge of Assam for more than 3 years. We won 9 out of the 14 seats. This time we will win at least 2 or 3 more. You look at Uttar Pradesh. Now, in Uttar Pradesh, we set the record in 2014, winning 73 seats out of 80. Now, in 2019, we had a formidable challenge because the 2 other big regional parties formed a very unlikely alliance. And as a result, there was a big challenge. Nevertheless, we won 64 out of 80 seats in 2019. This time, with the massive pro-Modi wave, with the development we have seen, with the huge enthusiasm after the 500 years delayed Ram Mandir reconstruction, we are targeting all 80 out of 80 seats in Uttar Pradesh. This is not at all fanciful. You have seen similar results in Gujarat, in Rajasthan. We are going to gain a lot of seats in South India, in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana. We will open our accounts in some states where we have yet to do so. And again, this is not fanciful. You know, just 7-8 years ago, nobody gave us a chance in the Northeast or in places like Goa, where the demographics are different from many parts of India. But we have now become repeatedly winning in these areas. So these are many examples of how across the map we are going to pick up seats to reach the target set of 370 for the BJP and 400 for the NDA alliance.
But Mr. Panda, at the same time, what then went wrong as far as Karnataka and Telangana are concerned? You're saying there will be gains in the south. As far as state assembly polls are concerned, what went wrong?
I think you know as well as anyone else, and certainly your viewers are aware, that state elections are voted with different priorities. National elections are voted with different priorities. So there are many considerations that go into state elections. But when it comes to the national election, particularly with a leader like Prime Minister Modi, you know very well that there is a massive vote share differential that we get in Lok Sabha elections. And you know, the proof of the pudding is just the last election cycle itself. Just before the 2019 elections, we had lost several state elections just a couple of months before those elections. And we swept all those very states in the Lok Sabha elections. So that is your answer.
Okay, all right. Mr. Panda, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.